Alex Wren had trained for years for this mission, but nothing could have prepared him for the sight that greeted him as he stepped off the shuttle onto Orion Outpost 7. The base hovered above a distant planet, its metallic surfaces glinting in the strange green and purple auroras that swirled across the sky. The hum of energy fields and the faint vibration through the floor made Alex feel both excited and uneasy. He had flown across galaxies, left behind friends, family, and everything familiar, and now he was here, standing on a platform suspended in the void of space, ready to take on a mission that could define the future of human exploration. As he adjusted his backpack and stepped cautiously toward the docking station, he noticed the other personnel moving with precision and purpose. Scientists in white uniforms adjusted instruments, engineers checked the hulls of small vehicles, and security officers patrolled with calm authority. Everything about the base seemed highly organized, almost too perfect. The feeling that he was being watched was subtle, but persistent. Every glance from the personnel seemed to assess him, as if the base itself were evaluating whether he belonged. Alex's first impression was that this was no ordinary outpost. The corridors gleamed with polished metal, the walls lined with panels displaying blinking lights, incomprehensible symbols, and shifting maps of the nearby star system. He walked slowly, trying to take in every detail, his boots echoing softly against the floor. Every corner hinted at advanced technology, the kind that could manipulate gravity, detect energy anomalies, and perhaps even manipulate time in ways humans had only dreamed of. He reached the central hub, where the base commander was waiting. Commander Voss was a tall, broad-shouldered man with a calm voice and eyes that seemed to weigh every thought. He nodded at Alex as he approached, offering a hand that Alex shook firmly.
Welcome to Orion Outpost
7, Captain Wren, Voss said. We have high expectations for you. This mission is critical. Your skills have been evaluated, and we believe you are capable. But you must understand, you are not alone here. The success of the mission depends on teamwork, trust, and the ability to adapt to the unexpected. Alex nodded, though a knot of unease formed in his stomach. He had trained for teamwork, but this mission seemed different. There was an undercurrent of secrecy, and he could feel it in the way the commander's eyes lingered on him. And your first assignment begins immediately, Voss continued. You will have a partner for the mission. She is unusual. You will report to the briefing room for introductions. Alex's curiosity sharpened. A partner? That was normal enough. But Voss's hesitation, the pause before he said unusual, suggested something beyond the ordinary. The briefing room was spacious, illuminated with soft white light that did not cast harsh shadows. Alex entered cautiously, scanning the room. A small table held a few data pads and a holographic display hovered above it, projecting a rotating model of the planet below. And then he saw her. Standing near the display was a female figure unlike anything Alex had ever seen. She was humanoid in shape, but moved with an elegance and grace that seemed almost unnatural. Her skin was a soft lavender, catching the light in a subtle iridescence. Her eyes were amber and luminous, reflecting not only the room but something deeper, something unspoken. She tilted her head slightly as she observed Alex, and for a moment he felt as if she could see directly into his thoughts. Captain Wren, Voss said, gesturing toward her. This is Lyra. She will be your partner for the mission. Lyra's voice was musical, a gentle series of tones that seemed to resonate in the air. A small device hung from her neck, translating her sounds into clear English words. It is a pleasure, she said, her voice melodic yet precise. Her eyes studied Alex, curious but calm. Alex swallowed. I look forward to working with you. Lyra inclined her head slightly, her fingers brushing against the translator. Our objectives align. Cooperation is essential. Alex noticed that her movements were smooth, almost flowing, and that every gesture seemed deliberate. She was clearly intelligent, trained, and aware. Yet there was something about her that seemed alien, in a way that made his skin prickle. He had prepared for alien encounters, simulations, and theory, but this was real, and it was immediate. The briefing began. The mission was to collect rare crystalline samples from the surface of the planet below. These crystals contained unique energy properties vital for an experiment that could alter humanity's understanding of energy manipulation. Alex listened intently as the data scrolled across the holographic display, noting the coordinates, environmental hazards, and safety protocols. Lyra spoke next, adding insights about the terrain and the behaviors of local wildlife. Her observations were precise, but the way she described subtle shifts in energy, gravity, and temperature hinted at senses beyond the human spectrum. Alex found himself trying to process the information, realizing that understanding Lyra was just as important as understanding the mission itself. As the briefing ended, Voss looked at Alex and Lyra. "Your first mission begins at sunrise. You will depart together. Remember, the environment is unpredictable, and you must rely on each other." Dismissed. Alex and Lyra left the room. The corridor seemed narrower than before, the soft hum of machinery now more pronounced. Alex felt a mixture of anticipation and anxiety. He had trained for danger, for unknown species, for survival. But he had not trained for working with someone whose abilities and thought processes were so different from his own. "Lyra," he said carefully, "can you tell me more about the planet? Any specific dangers we should watch for?" She turned her head slightly, amber eyes reflecting the overhead lights. "The terrain is unstable. Crystalline formations are brittle but dense. Gravity is slightly higher than your norm. Gas emissions may occur without warning. You must remain alert and responsive." Alex nodded, impressed by her clarity. "I understand. And your species, how familiar are you with this environment?" "I have observed, monitored, and interacted with this region for many cycles. My instincts will guide our actions, but cooperation is necessary."
"You must trust me as I will trust you." The weight of her words settled on Alex.
Trust. That was the key. If he failed to trust her, or if she failed to trust him, the mission could fail, and they could die. The night before the mission, Alex explored the base, trying to familiarize himself with the equipment and the shuttle. He noticed that Lyra moved silently, almost gliding along the corridors, her presence both calming and unnerving. At one point, he caught her observing a small garden of bioluminescent plants, growing in a controlled environment. She touched a leaf gently, her fingers tracing the veins as if reading its energy. Alex realized that she approached everything with curiosity and precision, finding meaning in the details he might overlook. The shuttle launch the next morning was tense. Alex and Lyra boarded in silence, the hum of the engines vibrating through the cabin. As they descended toward the planet, Alex glanced at Lyra. She seemed serene, yet every sense in his body told him she was fully aware of every motion, every risk. The surface of the planet unfolded beneath them like a kaleidoscope of color and danger. Jagged crystal spires jutted from the ground, reflecting sunlight in dazzling patterns. Streams of strange liquid glimmered in the low gravity, and distant geysers erupted in silent plumes of mist. The landscape was beautiful and deadly, and Alex felt a surge of adrenaline.
Lyra spoke softly through the translator.
"Observe. The crystalline growth patterns indicate energy concentrations. Follow me and remain cautious." As they stepped onto the surface, Alex felt the crunch of fragile crystal beneath his boots. The air was thin, sharp, and filled with faint electrical charges. Every step required attention. Every motion could trigger a hazard. Lyra moved ahead with confidence, her senses attuned to dangers Alex could barely perceive. She pointed to subtle vibrations in the ground, shifts in color, and the faint hum of energy beneath the surface. Alex realized that she could detect patterns he would never notice, and that following her guidance was not just helpful. It was essential. Hours passed as they collected samples, navigating the treacherous terrain. Alex began to understand Lyra's ways, the pauses, the small gestures, the constant scanning of their environment. He started to anticipate her movements, responding almost instinctively to the warnings she conveyed through subtle signals. By the time they returned to the shuttle, Alex felt a mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. He had survived, yes, but he had also learned something vital. Lyra was not just an alien partner. She was a guide, a protector, and perhaps a friend. As the shuttle ascended, leaving the planet behind, Alex looked at her. "I don't fully understand you yet," he said. "But I think I'm going to need you." Lyra's eyes glimmered, and her soft, melodic tones replied through the translator. "And I will need you. Together, we will succeed."
The journey back to Orion Outpost. 7 was quiet, but the silence was comfortable.
Alex realized that the mission had changed him already, not through danger or adrenaline or challenge, but through the presence of someone so different, yet so capable, someone who could teach him that survival and success were not just about human skill, but about connection, trust, and understanding across the boundaries of species. He didn't know what the next day would bring or what challenges awaited, but for the first time in his career, Alex Wren felt ready, not just for the mission, but for the partnership that would define it. As the base came into view, gleaming beneath the swirling auroras, Alex took a deep breath. He had arrived at Orion Outpost, 7, expecting a mission. What he had found was something far more complex, a companion, an enigma, and a chance to discover strengths he never knew he had. And somewhere deep inside, he knew that everything, every challenge, every danger, every mystery would be faced together. The shuttle's engines hummed quietly as Alex and Lyra descended toward the planet's surface. The moment they'd breached the thin atmosphere, the alien landscape stretched endlessly below them, glittering with crystalline spires and glinting rivers of strange, translucent liquid. The sunlight bent and fractured across the jagged formations, creating patterns that dazzled the eye and made it difficult to judge distance. Alex gripped the shuttle controls with steady hands, but his heart raced. This was the first real test, the first time he and Lyra would face the planet together. Lyra's amber eyes scanned the terrain constantly, her body tense but controlled. She adjusted her translator device and pointed to a narrow path between 2 massive crystal towers. "This route is stable," she said. "The ground vibrations indicate no immediate collapse risk. We move carefully. Watch the reflections. Light can hide fissures." Alex nodded, impressed. Even with his training, he had never encountered terrain like this. Every step could trigger a hidden trap. Every shadow could conceal a fracture, and every crystalline spire seemed ready to crumble under the wrong pressure. He realized that survival on this planet would not depend solely on his skill. It depended on his ability to trust Lyra completely. As they exited the shuttle, the ground beneath their boots made a faint crunch, sharp and brittle. Alex had expected solid rock. Instead, the crystals shifted slightly with each step. He adjusted his stride, following Lyra's movements precisely. She moved with effortless grace, her elongated fingers brushing against the edges of the crystal spires, testing their stability. "Careful," she said. "Even small pressure changes can trigger a collapse. The crystals are dense but fragile."
Alex swallowed, nodding.
The air was thin, but breathable thanks to the shuttle's filtration system. He could feel the slight increase in gravity, a subtle but persistent weight pressing down on him. His muscles ached after the first few steps, but he ignored the discomfort. The mission depended on success, and the success depended on following Lyra's lead. They advanced slowly, the alien landscape both beautiful and terrifying. The crystals shimmered in colors Alex had no names for, shades of violet and gold intertwined, reflecting the sunlight in patterns that seemed alive. Occasionally, a sharp gust of wind stirred the crystalline towers, creating a ringing hum that resonated through the ground. Alex found it eerie, almost musical, but he pushed aside his unease. Focus was more important than wonder. Lyra paused near a particularly tall spire. She extended a finger and touched the surface lightly. Alex followed. Curious. A faint vibration ran through the ground and up his boots. Lyra's eyes glimmered. "There is energy here," she said. "Concentrations are high. Approach slowly. Any sudden movement can destabilize the structure."
Alex nodded, stepping carefully.
He realized that Lyra's senses extended beyond what he could perceive. She could feel the energy of the planet itself, sense vibrations, detect weaknesses in the crystal formations. He could only follow, trusting her instincts as much as his own training. Hours passed as they navigated the crystalline terrain. Every step required vigilance. Geysers of toxic gas erupted unexpectedly from cracks in the ground, and Alex ducked just in time as a plume of green mist shot into the air. Lyra gestured him forward, leading him along a safer path. "Do not move too fast," she said.
"The energy flows can shift without warning. Stay close."
Observed carefully. Alex found himself watching her as much as the terrain. Her movements were precise, efficient, and almost fluid. She seemed to anticipate the environment in ways he could not. There were moments when she paused to touch the crystals lightly, her amber eyes scanning the surface, and Alex realized she was reading the energy patterns, predicting the planet's responses before they happened. He had trained for danger, but he had never trained for instinct like this. Instinct that was part human, part alien, and completely beyond his understanding. By midday, they reached the first site where the rare crystals were located. Towering formations of deep blue and gold spiraled toward the sky, their surfaces smooth and radiant. Alex felt awe and caution simultaneously. The crystals seemed almost alive, humming softly with energy that vibrated through the soles of his boots. Lyra stepped forward, her hand hovering above the nearest formation. "These crystals contain energy that can amplify and store enormous power. Extraction must be precise. One wrong move, and the formation collapses." "We proceed carefully," Alex swallowed, focusing. They began their work, using specialized tools to extract samples without causing damage. Every cut, every movement had to be exact. The hum of energy intensified as they worked, and Alex could feel the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. He glanced at Lyra. She moved with unwavering focus, her hands delicate yet steady, her amber eyes scanning for even the slightest sign of instability. The first sample was secured, and Alex felt a surge of relief.
"We did it,"
he said, trying to hide the tension in his voice. Lyra turned her head slightly, her expression unreadable. Caution remains necessary. The planet does not forgive error. Many have tried and failed. Alex nodded, understanding the gravity of her words. This was no ordinary mission. Survival here required not just skill, but harmony between human and alien, intuition and logic, courage and patience. As they continued, the terrain grew more treacherous. Crystalline towers leaned precariously. Shadows hid deep fissures, and strange creatures, delicate but sharp, flitted across the surface. Alex had trained for alien encounters, but these were subtle, almost invisible, requiring careful observation to avoid contact. Lyra guided him around each hazard, her movements elegant, almost gliding, her awareness extending into spaces Alex could not perceive. They stopped briefly near a crystalline stream. The liquid shimmered in colors that shifted with the angle of the light, and Alex marveled at its beauty despite the danger. Lyra knelt by the edge, her fingers skimming the surface. She studied it carefully, then looked at Alex. "The stream contains energy currents that are unstable. Crossing without caution could result in injury, or worse. Step lightly. Follow my lead." Alex followed, stepping carefully on the crystals that protruded from the stream. Each step sent a small ripple through the liquid, and he realized that even a single misstep could have catastrophic consequences. He trusted Lyra completely, following her movements precisely. Hours passed, and the sun, or whatever passed as a sun on this planet, shifted across the sky, casting long shadows across the crystalline spires. They collected more samples, moving slowly and deliberately, communicating in short phrases through the translator. The rhythm of their work formed an unspoken connection, a silent understanding that grew with each step, each careful movement. A sudden tremor shook the ground. Alex stumbled, gripping a spire to steady himself. Lyra reached out, her hand steadying him almost effortlessly. "Balance yourself. Energy flows are shifting below," she said calmly. They paused, observing the subtle vibrations in the crystals and the shifting reflections of light. Alex realized that the tremor was minor, but the potential for danger was immense. They adjusted their position, moving slowly to avoid triggering further instability. As the day progressed, Alex began to understand Lyra's way of sensing the planet. She didn't rely on sight alone. She felt the vibrations in the ground, the energy currents in the crystals, the subtle shifts in air pressure. It was a method that was entirely foreign to him, yet it worked with remarkable precision. He began to anticipate her signals, her pauses, her glances, and a strange trust grew between them. The crystal formations here were massive, spiraling towers that reached higher than the eye could follow. The energy radiating from them was intense, almost tangible, causing Alex's hands to tingle as he approached. Lyra gestured toward the largest formation. "This one requires careful coordination.
I will guide the extraction. Follow my actions precisely."
Alex nodded, heart pounding. They worked together, Lyra's hands moving with precision, Alex mirroring her actions under her guidance. Slowly, carefully, they extracted the sample, the crystal glowing softly in their containment unit. A sudden low rumble echoed through the area, and Alex looked up to see one of the smaller spires wobbling. Lyra's eyes narrowed. "Move away from the unstable formation. Quick but controlled." They retreated, stepping carefully over the jagged terrain as the spire collapsed behind them, sending shards of crystal scattering like glass in a storm. Alex felt his pulse race, adrenaline surging, but Lyra remained composed, her calm presence grounding him. As they returned to the shuttle, carrying the final samples, Alex felt a mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. They had succeeded, survived, and learned to work together in a way he had never experienced before. He glanced at Lyra. She moved with effortless grace, her amber eyes reflecting both the planet's beauty and its dangers. The shuttle lifted off, leaving the planet's surface behind. Alex leaned back in his seat, feeling a sense of relief and wonder. He realized that the mission had changed him already, not just because of the danger or the beauty of the alien world, but because of Lyra. She was more than a partner. She was a guide, a teacher, and a companion. As the shuttle ascended, Alex knew that the challenges were only beginning. The planet was unpredictable, the crystals mysterious, and the potential for discovery immense. But for the first time, he felt confident that he and Lyra could face whatever lay ahead, together. Lyra's melodic tones broke the silence.
"You are adapting well, Captain Rain."
"Cooperation is improving. This is good."
Alex smiled, tired but satisfied. "I'm learning from the best," he said.
Lyra's eyes glimmered. "We will need more than skill to complete this mission. We will need trust, understanding, and courage."
The planet is only the beginning. Alex looked out the window at the alien world below, the crystals shimmering in fading light.
He felt anticipation, excitement, and a quiet sense of respect for the partner he had just begun to understand. The journey ahead promised danger, discovery, and perhaps more than either of them expected. But he was ready. Together, human and alien, they would face the unknown. Alex and Lyra returned to Orion Outpost, 7 with the crystalline samples secured. But the relief was brief. The moment they stepped off the shuttle, the energy readings from the crystals flared on the base's instruments, sending blinking lights and alarms through the central lab. Scientists rushed to the displays, voices overlapping in hurried analysis. but Alex's attention was entirely on Lyra. She moved with calm precision, her amber eyes scanning the readings, her fingers tracing the patterns on the holographic panels. They are showing unusual fluctuations, Lyra said, her voice calm but urgent through the translator. This is not merely energy storage. There is information encoded within these crystals. We must analyze it immediately. Alex followed her into the lab, the sterile metallic environment humming with quiet tension. He had expected to rest, perhaps report the successful collection. But now, the crystals seemed to demand more. Lyra placed the largest sample into a containment unit, and Alex watched as the surface glowed with soft pulses of light. Tiny filaments of energy shimmered along its edges, forming patterns that looked almost like writing. Yet he could not comprehend their meaning. Lyra knelt beside the sample, her elongated fingers hovering above it. She touched the surface lightly, her skin brushing against the crystalline texture. The translator captured her soft tones. This is a warning, a signal embedded in the energy. It is dormant, but it reacts to interference. It could threaten the base, even the solar system, if not handled carefully. Alex's stomach tightened. A warning? From who? Lyra tilted her head, amber eyes reflecting the holographic lights. From a species older than your records. It monitors this system. It is intelligent. It responds to extraction and disturbance. This entity must be understood, not merely collected. They had gone down to the planet, expecting a straightforward mission. Retrieve the crystals, report, and return. Instead, they had found a layer of complexity that threatened everything. The crystals were not just samples. They were part of a larger intelligence, something far older and more powerful than humanity. The scientists were busy analyzing other samples, unaware of the potential danger. Alex and Lyra isolated the glowing crystal, working silently, their movements synchronized in a rhythm that had formed during the mission. Alex realized that they had developed a unique understanding. His tactical mind combined with Lyra's intuition allowed them to see patterns in the crystal's behavior that neither could decipher alone. Hours passed as they examined the encoded energy. Lyra's understanding of the signals grew more precise. The entity beneath the surface is not passive, she explained. It can manipulate energy, alter gravity, and react to stimuli. We triggered its awareness by extracting these samples. If we proceed without caution, it may respond destructively. Alex nodded slowly. I am aware. Why am I dead? He had anticipated danger on the planet's surface, but this was different. The threat was invisible, silent, and intelligent. He looked at Lyra, realizing that without her, he would have no way to navigate this complex situation. Trust was no longer optional. It was essential. We need a plan, he said. If it's dormant now, can we communicate? Can we reason with it? Lyra's amber eyes narrowed slightly. Communication is possible, but requires precision and understanding.
We cannot use human methods alone. Your technology may help, but my instincts must guide the approach.
We must enter the planet's crust. The signal originates there. Alex felt a chill. Descending into the planet's interior was dangerous even with Lyra's guidance. He imagined collapsing tunnels, shifting crystal formations, and energy surges capable of destroying them instantly. Yet the urgency in her voice left no room for hesitation. We do it together, he said. We go down and find it. Preparations began immediately. The shuttle was equipped with reinforced hulls, energy shields, and specialized instruments to detect the entity's fluctuations. Alex double-checked the controls while Lyra calibrated the equipment with delicate precision. Every movement she made seemed effortless, yet it required extraordinary skill. He marveled at her focus, at the way she balanced caution with confidence. When they finally descended, the shuttle pierced the atmosphere and entered a vast canyon leading to the planet's interior. The walls shimmered with embedded crystal, reflecting their lights in a kaleidoscope of color. Alex gripped the console tightly as the gravity subtly shifted, and Lyra's amber eyes glowed faintly, reflecting her awareness of the energy currents surrounding them. The deeper they went, the more surreal the landscape became. Crystalline tunnels twisted and turned like living veins, energy hums vibrating through the shuttle floor. Occasionally, faint pulses of light flickered across the walls, as if the entity was watching, responding to their presence. Alex's heart pounded. Every instinct screamed caution, yet he trusted Lyra implicitly. Suddenly, a sharp vibration ran through the hull. Alex adjusted the controls, steadying the shuttle, while Lyra placed a hand on the console. It is aware of us. The entity is observing, testing. Do not panic. Follow my guidance. Alex swallowed hard, nodding. He had faced danger before, but this was unlike anything he had imagined. The entity was not merely a threat, it was a mind, a presence that could manipulate the environment around them, and they were intruding into its domain. As they approached a vast chamber, the crystal walls pulsed with light in intricate patterns. The shuttle's instruments recorded fluctuations in energy that defied explanation. Alex realized that the entity's intelligence was immense, far beyond human comprehension. Lyra's hands hovered above the controls, translating the subtle energy patterns into signals they could understand. "Be ready," she said softly.
It may test us. It may attempt to trap or overwhelm.
"Stay calm. Observe."
Respond precisely. The chamber opened into a cavern larger than any Alex had seen.
Towering crystalline spires stretched upward, some piercing the ceiling, others merging into the walls. Energy flowed like rivers along the surfaces, creating rippling waves that pulsed in rhythm with the entity's awareness. Alex felt a pressure in his chest, a weight that was both physical and mental. The presence of the entity was overwhelming, yet strangely mesmerizing. Lyra stepped closer to the edge of the shuttle's platform, her fingers tracing the energy currents.
It is communicating, she said.
Not with words, but with pulses, vibrations, and resonance. It is testing us, assessing our intentions.
Alex watched, trying to focus. The patterns were complex, shifting constantly.
A wrong move could trigger a catastrophic release of energy. He followed Lyra's lead, matching her observations with his own instruments, interpreting her gestures as instructions. Step by step, they adjusted their position, moving deeper into the chamber. A sudden surge of energy jolted the shuttle. Alex braced himself, and Lyra extended her hands, her fingers glowing faintly as she absorbed and redirected the pulse. The energy subsided, leaving Alex shaken but alive. He realized then that Lyra's abilities were not merely instinctive. They were essential. Without her, the entity's power would have been too much to counter. They moved forward, deeper into the cavern. The energy pulses became stronger, the light more intense. Alex felt a strange connection forming, not just with Lyra, but with the entity itself. It was as if the planet was alive, aware of their presence, and testing their courage, their skill, and their trust in one another. Lyra paused near a massive crystalline formation. Her amber eyes glimmered as she studied the patterns. "This is the core," she said. "The center of its awareness. We must approach carefully. Observe, respond. Do not interfere recklessly." Alex nodded, following her lead. They descended onto a platform of stable crystal, the light pulses surrounding them like living threads. The energy hummed in the air, vibrating through every molecule, creating a sense of both awe and fear. The entity's presence intensified. Waves of energy washed over them, testing their focus and stability. Alex felt his mind strain, his thoughts scattering. But Lyra remained calm, guiding him through the resonance. Together, they began to interpret the pulses, understanding patterns, anticipating shifts, responding with careful precision. Minutes stretched into hours. Every moment was a balance of caution and courage, observation and action. Alex realized that this was more than a mission. It was a lesson in trust, in cooperation, and in the understanding that human skill alone was not enough. Survival depended on partnership, on respect for forces greater than oneself, and on the ability to adapt to the unknown. Finally, the energy waves stabilized. The entity seemed to recognize their efforts, the pulses softening, the light patterns slowing to a steady rhythm. Alex and Lyra exchanged a glance. They had passed the first test, earned the entity's cautious acknowledgement, and survived the descent into the heart of the planet's intelligence. Lyra's translator captured her melodic tones.
It understands our intentions. It recognizes cooperation and courage.
This is rare. Few species can approach without triggering destruction. Deep, we did it, he said, though the exhaustion in his voice reflected the mental and physical strain of the encounter. Lyra's eyes met his, amber and luminous. This is only the beginning. The entity will not remain passive. We must learn, adapt, and continue with care. The mission has grown in scope. What we face now is far beyond collection. It is understanding, communication, and survival.
As they prepared to return to the shuttle, Alex felt a profound respect for Lyra.
She had not only guided him through danger, she had taught him the meaning of trust and awareness in the face of forces that defied human understanding. The mission had changed from a simple extraction to a journey of discovery, partnership, and courage. The shuttle ascended, leaving the crystalline chamber behind, and Alex looked at Lyra.
I never imagined anything like this, he said.
She smiled faintly, her fingers brushing the translator. Nor I, but together, we can face what comes next. The entity is not an enemy, but a force to respect.
And it will guide us if we listen carefully. Alex nodded, a sense of purpose solidifying in his chest.
They had survived the planet's surface, navigated its dangers, and faced an intelligence beyond human comprehension. But he knew the mission was far from over. Deeper mysteries awaited, challenges that would test their courage, skill, and trust to the limits. As Orion Outpost! 7 grew larger in the shuttle's viewport. Alex realized that the mission had already changed him, not just as a soldier or explorer, but as a human. The universe was vast, full of unknown forces, and sometimes survival required more than strength or training. It required understanding, partnership, and the courage to face the unknown with someone you could trust completely. Lyra's amber eyes met his once more. Rest now. Tomorrow, we continue. The entity will reveal more, and we must be ready to listen, learn, and act together.
Alex leaned back in his seat, exhaustion and awe settling over him. He knew that he had survived more than danger. He had survived understanding something beyond his own species.
And he had learned that with Lyra by his side. The impossible was just another step toward discovery. The shuttle hummed quietly as they approached the base. Outside, the alien planet glowed in the fading light, a reminder of the vast intelligence and energy that waited below its surface. Alex closed his eyes for a moment, knowing that the real journey had only begun, and that tomorrow would demand even more courage, skill, and trust than today. Alex and Lyra prepared for the final descent into the planet's core, the weight of what lay ahead pressing on them. The entity beneath the surface had made itself known through the crystalline signals, and every instrument in the shuttle indicated a growing energy field far beyond normal comprehension. Orion Outpost. 7 hummed faintly in the background, a reminder of home and humanity's fragile presence in the vast galaxy. Alex felt tension tighten his muscles. He had faced danger before, but nothing like this. Lyra moved with calm precision, checking each instrument, her amber eyes glowing softly as she analyzed the readings.
The entity is aware of us,
she said through the translator. It tests intentions and courage. We must approach carefully, synchronize our actions, and remain observant at all times. Alex nodded. He had come to rely on her instincts, her intuition that extended beyond human perception. He realized that survival depended on partnership, trust, and communication, not just skill or technology. Every pulse of energy from the crystals, every vibration of the planet itself required attention. Any misstep could provoke a reaction they were not prepared for. The shuttle descended through twisting tunnels of crystalline formations, walls shimmering with alien light that seemed alive. Energy pulsed along the surfaces, flowing like liquid in rhythmic patterns. Alex watched as Lyra's fingers traced the currents, her movements precise, her senses attuned to the slightest shift. He felt a mixture of awe and apprehension. The deeper they went, the more surreal the environment became. Gravity fluctuated, light fractured, and the air seemed thick with energy. Suddenly, the shuttle shuddered as a surge of power coursed through the chamber. Alex gripped the controls while Lyra extended her hands, amber eyes focused, her touch guiding the shuttle through the tremors.
"It is testing us," she said. "Do not panic.
Observe, respond, act carefully." The entity's presence grew stronger as they entered a vast crystalline cavern. Towering formations stretched impossibly high, their surfaces pulsing with energy that bent light and warped perception. Alex could feel the vibrations not just underfoot, but through his very chest. The entity was immense, intelligent, and aware of every movement they made. Lyra stepped forward, her fingers brushing the surface of a spire. "It responds to resonance," she explained.
"We must synchronize with its energy, not oppose it. Any aggressive action could trigger catastrophic consequences."
Alex took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. He had expected danger, but this was different. This was intelligence, awareness, and power far beyond human capability. He felt both fear and exhilaration, realizing that the success of the mission depended on observation, understanding, and cooperation. They approached the core of the cavern, where the energy pulses intensified, forming patterns that seemed almost like communication. Lyra's hands hovered above the crystals, interpreting the vibrations, translating them into signals they could comprehend. Alex watched closely, mimicking her movements where appropriate, synchronizing his actions with hers. A sudden surge of energy erupted from the central spire, rocking the shuttle and sending shards of crystal skimming across the floor. Alex braced himself, but Lyra's calm presence steadied the situation. She extended her hands, guiding the energy through controlled resonance, and slowly the pulses settled into a steady rhythm. "It is aware," she said. "It recognizes our approach, our cooperation. It tests not for hostility, but for understanding."
"We must continue with caution and respect."
Alex nodded, feeling both relief and awe. They had passed the first test, but the entity's full power remained uncertain. Each step deeper into the chamber was a delicate balance between action and observation, courage and patience. They reached the central formation, the core of the entity's awareness. Energy flowed in rivers of light, shifting and changing, responding to their presence. Alex felt a pressure in his chest, a weight that was both physical and mental. The entity seemed aware of his thoughts, reading intent and perception with a precision that was unsettling. Lyra's hands moved gracefully, touching the surfaces of the crystalline formations. The translator captured her melodic tones. "We communicate through resonance. Observe the pulses, respond with precision, do not act recklessly. The entity will test our intentions, but it does not seek destruction unless provoked."
Alex realized that the mission was no longer about extraction or survival alone.
It was about understanding, about communicating with a force far beyond human capability. Every movement, every decision mattered. They could not rely on weapons, strength, or instinct alone. They had to adapt, learn, and cooperate, with an intelligence that operated on a scale they could barely comprehend. The entity's energy pulsed in waves, testing their synchronization, probing their intentions. Alex felt the vibrations in his chest, the pressure of immense power, and he focused on Lyra's guidance. Step by step, they adjusted their actions, matching the entity's rhythm, responding with care and precision. A particularly strong surge rocked the chamber, threatening to destabilize the platform beneath them. Alex gripped the controls, sweat forming on his brow, while Lyra extended her hands, her touch resonating with the energy currents. Slowly, the pulse stabilized, and the formation's light softened. "It recognizes cooperation," Lyra said. "It responds to trust and understanding." "This is rare. Few species survive this encounter without triggering aggression." Alex exhaled deeply. He felt exhaustion, relief, and awe simultaneously. They had navigated the entity's initial tests, survived the planet's challenges, and begun to understand the intelligence they faced. Yet he knew the journey was not over. The entity's full awareness remained, and they would need to continue with vigilance and care. They moved deeper into the core, approaching a vast crystalline structure that seemed to breathe with energy. Light pulses flowed along its surfaces, patterns shifting like a living language. Lyra placed her hands on the formation, interpreting the subtle variations, and Alex mirrored her actions, following her guidance. Suddenly, the entity reacted, sending a wave of energy that swept through the chamber. Alex felt his body strain against the pressure, but Lyra's calm presence guided him. "Do not resist," she said. "Flow with it. Observe, respond, synchronize." Together, they moved with the energy, their actions blending with the currents, their understanding of the entity deepening with every pulse. Alex realized that survival was no longer a matter of strength or skill alone. It was a matter of connection, of trust, of resonance with something far greater than themselves. The energy waves settled, the light patterns forming a steady rhythm that Alex could almost comprehend. The entity seemed to acknowledge their cooperation, its pulses softening to a consistent flow. Lyra's amber eyes glimmered with satisfaction.
"It is peaceful for now," she said. "It understands our intent."
"We have earned its cautious recognition, but this is only the beginning. The entity will not remain passive indefinitely. Observation and respect are essential." Alex nodded, a sense of accomplishment settling over him. They had faced the entity, navigated its tests, and survived. The mission had evolved from extraction to understanding, from danger to discovery. He looked at Lyra, realizing that their partnership had been crucial. Without her guidance, intuition, and connection, they would not have succeeded. As they prepared to return to the shuttle, Alex felt a quiet sense of wonder. The entity had not attacked. It had tested, observed, and communicated. He understood now that intelligence came in many forms, and that courage alone was not enough. Cooperation, empathy, and trust were equally vital. The shuttle ascended from the core, leaving the crystalline chamber behind. Alex gazed out the viewport at the alien planet, shimmering with light and energy, and felt a profound respect for the forces they had encountered. He realized that the universe was far more complex and alive than he had imagined, and that humanity's place within it required humility, understanding, and courage. Lyra turned to him, her expression calm but intense. "We have completed this stage," she said. "But the journey continues. The entity will reveal more over time. We must remain vigilant, observant, and cooperative. The mission is far from over, and greater challenges await." Alex smiled faintly, exhausted but determined. "I understand. And I trust you, Lyra. Together, we'll face whatever comes next." Her amber eyes glimmered with acknowledgement. "As I trust you. Together, we are stronger than the challenges ahead." The shuttle stabilized, leaving the planet behind as they ascended toward Orion Outpost.
7. Alex leaned back in his seat, reflecting on the day's events.
They had survived tests of skill, courage, and understanding. They had faced an intelligence far beyond human comprehension and learned to cooperate in a way that transcended species. He realized that this mission had changed him, not just as a soldier or explorer, but as a human. He had learned the value of trust, observation, and connection. He had learned that survival and success were not determined solely by strength or technology, but by understanding and cooperation. Lyra's melodic tones broke the silence.
"Rest now, Captain Wren. We have succeeded today, but tomorrow will require equal focus, courage, and understanding."
The universe is vast, and our journey is just beginning. Alex closed his eyes for a moment, exhaustion washing over him, but also a sense of awe and gratitude. The entity, the planet, and Lyra had all taught him lessons beyond any training manual, beyond any simulation. He was ready for the challenges ahead, knowing that together, human and alien, they could face the unknown. The shuttle hummed quietly as Orion Outpost, the seven grew larger in the viewport. Alex felt anticipation, excitement, and a quiet sense of respect for the partner who had guided him through danger, understanding, and discovery. The mission was not over, but he knew that with Lyra by his side, the impossible was only a step toward achievement. And for the first time, Alex felt the true meaning of teamwork, trust, and courage, not just for survival, but for discovery, understanding, and the future of humanity among the stars.